we are back to doing Melania, Blade of Mikola, which, if you have not seen a stream yet, if you have no idea what this cosplay is, this is a cosplay that is going to probably take me years, because we're doing embroidery on the entire cape. Let me pull up if I still have it on there. Yep, we got her. This is what we're doing. We're on the cape. We have all of this embroidery to do, and we've not made it very far, but we're gonna keep going. But today, I actually have something different for this embroidery, because I saw somebody doing this in like an Instagram reel where they had two needles and two threads, which I think is supposed to help you line it up better. So hopefully that'll be good. But I've got two needles and two threads today. Ooh, wait. Hold on. There's tea. Let me put my needles down. I heard so many complaints about the Momocon contest. Was the MC really that bad? So I will talk about the Momocon costume contest for a second, because I have a very different opinion than everybody else has. And I have one opinion that I will stand by. First of all, what you will see when the vlog comes out is I left on Sunday, like, afternoon. Like, I didn't go to the costume contest. We checked out on Sunday morning, so I didn't get a chance to go. There were some problems with the costume contest, though. But if you are a patron, and you are not in the Discord only channel, one of the fellow patrons was working cosplay staff at Momocon this year, and they gave me and everybody else in the Discord, in the patrons only channel, and in the main Discord channels too, they gave us a lot of perspective about what happened with the Momocon costume contest. The big problem that they had was, to me, it seemed like rooms that were supposed to be dedicated to the costume contest got moved around and changed and rescheduled. The big problems that I heard about was signups were really bad. And listen, if you went to Momocon and you haven't filled out the survey yet, fill out the Momocon survey and beg them to do an online form for the costume contest. Because that's my biggest criticism, and that was my criticism last year, is that they don't have an online form, and they need an online form. There's no reason in 2024 that you should be having to sign up for the costume contest at the con and not have any ability to sign up online. That's my critique, and that remains my critique. Pins and Snip were going to try to compete, and they ended up not doing it because the signups were so messed up. And I only have a vague idea of what happened. I'm not going to make a video about this because none of this happened to me. So all I have is secondhand accounts. But it seemed like at signups, the signups got moved. And so people were like, you know, of course, people really want to be in the costume contest, so people are getting in line really early. And then they're going to the room that they were told to go to, but then they're being told that they need to go to a different room, which just caused havoc and upsetty spaghettis, and people were, like, accusing others of line cutting, and it didn't seem like a very good time. They ran out of the slots on Saturday, so Pins and Snip didn't want to, like, go sign up again. I will say, what Astrofox is saying here, the MCs sometimes made inappropriate comments, like calling one cosplayer's arms T-Rex-like. But overall, it was not the worst MCs I've experienced. I watched a little bit of the costume contest. If you want to watch it, Pins and Snip uploaded the whole thing to their YouTube channel. So if somebody wants to link that, it's on the Pin Snip Cosplay YouTube channel. Which I encourage them to post more on. But my big critique... I'm sorry if I keep hitting the mic with my hat. I'm just very excited about my hat and I want to wear it. My big critique of the MCs, which is very apparent if you watch the video of the costume contest, you can't see the MCs, but one of them had lost their voice over the weekend, and either just lost their voice regularly or was, like, sick. And either way, cut yourself out. Just don't do it. They had 2 MCs. They didn't need 2. Whoever it was that had lost their voice, be a professional and be like, I'm not doing this. I don't care how bad you wanted to do it. I would love to host the Momocon costume contest. If they asked me to do it and I got to do it, I would hold on to that for dear life. But I would make sure that I didn't lose my voice over the weekend, or if I got sick, that's awful, that sucks, you gotta go home, but you're sick, you gotta go home. I literally on Friday, I talk about this sometimes at the end of streams. I can feel when my voice is starting to give out, and it for me, it's like something in my sinuses. I can start to feel the mucus at the back of my throat, which is gross, but I can tell, you can tell when you're about to lose your voice. You know. On Friday, I did my booth at Momocon, and I had a, by the way, wonderful time at Momocon. I met many of you, but the big thing was, while I was at the booth, there were a lot of people at the booth. We had a very successful booth, and I talked to a lot of people. I was talking nonstop, and we're in a dealer's room, so I'm talking kind of loud, and I'm talking very high-pitched, and, you know, I was, after 3 hours of talking to people nonstop with no breaks, I was drinking a lot of water, because I always drink a lot of water. Y'all never be worried if I'm hydrated. I always have water. After 3 hours, I was like, I gotta stop, because tomorrow I'm doing Cosplay Jeopardy, and I need my voice for Cosplay Jeopardy. So I need to stop doing this right now, and leave the booth, and go be quiet somewhere, so that my voice will be good for this thing that I have scheduled to host. And that was just my own panel. I could have sounded sick in my own panel, but you're hosting the costume contest, and you can't keep your voice on lock or drop yourself out? What the is wrong with you? I don't know this person. Maybe they like really, really wanted to do it, but for me, that screams unprofessional. I get that we're cosplayers and that we're not professionals, but I'm a professional, okay? This is my job. I don't claim to be a professional cosplayer. I claim to be a professional YouTuber, and I mostly claim that so that the little 14-year-olds that ask me, how do I make cosplay my living, understand that the only way I have made cosplay my living is through YouTube. Which is an important point. But at the end of the day, I kind of am a professional cosplayer. So I take this seriously, but I guess other people don't. Nothing against that person. I'm sure it was just a thing that they really wanted to do and didn't want to give up, but that to me was just absolutely ridiculous. I watched a couple clips. If you watched the video, the funniest thing to me was Beck the Noir, who's also a patron and one of the Discord mods, and has been in the vlogs a couple times, and we've met Beck and hung out with them. And when Beck got on the stage, and Pins is recording this, right? You hear Pins just yell so loud, but they sound like a helium balloon being let out. It's amazing. But the big thing is, like, Momocon, here's the Momocon's costume contest was messy. But at the end of the day, they still have, in the city of Atlanta, they are the only costume contest that has, like, fair categories. Like, they are the only one that separates armor and sewing, which is a big deal, and we need that. Like, we need the Momocon costume contest. Of the ones in Atlanta, while Momocon needs a little bit of help, it seems like the staff and the costume director seem very upset about what happened this year. It seems like a lot of the problems that affected the contestants was not stuff that the cosplay staff had control over. It was more scheduling stuff and problems with the layout of the convention being changed so dramatically from last year. The costume contest was in an entirely different, like, theater this year. A big problem was, like, the backstage was really weird. All I have to say about it is I believe in them. I believe that they can do better, and I've met the costume director, and she really cares about this stuff. Also, the big thing is they had good judges. Like, one of the things I love is, first of all, they pick cosplayers. They pick people that have won awards, and they generally pick people who won awards previously at Momocon. If you don't know Alley Cat Cosplay, she is, first of all, she's really, really sweet. If y'all went to Momo, if y'all, like, got judged by her, I'm sure she was so sweet to you, because she's just so sweet. Solar Wolf, who I met competing at Momocon, he's a really nice, really cool dude. He's also really talented. Alley Cat, also tremendously talented. They also both have very different skill sets. And then I don't really know the other two judges, but I'm sure they're very nice. But they pick good judges. They had some problems this year. You're not gonna see me ranting about it because all I have to say is the person who lost their voice needed to either not lose their voice or take themselves out of the costume contest. Because that is just silly. Hi from California. How's California? Oh, speaking of California, I had something funny happen at Momo. Somebody came up to the booth, and as we're, like, taking a picture together, they were like, oh, I met you at Anime Expo. And I was like, I've never been to Anime Expo. And they're like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, I've never been to the West Coast. And they were very convinced that we had met at Anime Expo, but the furthest west I have been is Chicago. Honestly, I don't know if I want to keep vlogging, and this is the reason why. Every time I'm at a con and, like, I'm trying to vlog, right? And I'm trying to film the funny stuff, you know? Because vlogs are just like, here's what I did, here's what's going on. There's not a whole lot of set structure to it. And I don't mean that I don't, like, what I think I mean is I don't know if I want to keep vlogging at cons where there isn't, like, a set event that is actually interesting. You know what I mean? Like, if I was going to go compete again, I would film it. But that's less of a vlog and more of documenting this event that I went to. When it's just a vlog in the traditional sense of, like, here's what I did at Momocon. When I'm at the con, I always feel like I never actually film the really funny that happens. I did, like, when we were setting up my booth, oh no, before that even, when we were walking into the dealer's room with I brought my golf case, my big, long, tall suitcase, put all of my booth stuff, including my dress form and my banner, into the golf case. That thing continues to prove to be, like, the best thing I've bought for cosplay. Put everything in there. Joe was pushing it for me. And I was periodically filming us going in there. But twice, Joe, holding the golf case, tripped on some and I didn't get it on camera. And and then, like, when we were setting up the booth, I was, like, I just got, like, a cool transition of the booth coming together instead of doing, like, a time-lapse or something, but I should have done the time-lapse because while I was doing it, I was having so much trouble, like, tying knots to tie the banner up that I, like, had to drop the whole banner. It was really funny. Didn't get it on camera. And I get so annoyed with trying to film the funny and I feel like I never get any of the really funny moments. Sammy says, that's why I love the Dragon Con vlog you did. What do you like about that vlog? Because I'm always of the opinion that my vlogs are, like, not, like, the Sweden, like, not a vlog where I'm, like, going and doing a big important thing. The vlogs where I'm just at a con doing stuff. What do y'all like about those? Because I feel like they're boring. Like, sometimes they're very funny, but there's some funny stuff that we got at this one, but I don't know when it stops being worth it to do them. Like, when I go to cons, it is always worth getting at least 2 videos out of going to the con, because it, you know, I'm getting 2 videos at it. That means I can make twice as much money out of it, right? Like, the last couple things I've gone to, it's been like, here's this big event that I'm doing, and then here's a vlog. And seeing how other cons work. Well, yeah, that's fair, but Dragon Con itself is just a very interesting con. I think they need, here's my thing is, I think the vlogs that I do need to evolve, and it might just be worth, like, doing that from the perspective of cons that I've not been to. I don't have any cons that I'm really planning on going to this year that I haven't gone to before, but Dragon Con just has a lot of stuff to talk about that made that video interesting. But I will remind everybody that when that video came out, that was before the channel, like, grew, so that video probably only had 200 views when it first came out. Tommy says, I live vicariously through them. I get that. That's why I used to watch con vlogs. I think they're, like, mine are boring, but I watch con vlogs. If anybody is subscribed to Shellbell Cosplay, if y'all like the old cosplay YouTube vibes, Shellbell is very that. I really like Shellbell. I've met her in person. I think I've said this on stream before. She's just a sweetie. She's a gay. And she just put out a con vlog that I was watching. But I don't know. I feel like I expect my content, all of my content, to always be very big and very bold. And vlogs just by nature aren't really that. Somebody says, now I may be trauma dumping, but I am so socially incapable. I am too socially incapable to have friends to go to cons with. I don't think that's trauma dumping. I think that is incredibly common. Finding your people is really hard, but a lot of the times it's like when I first started going to cons, I basically went alone. Like, I would convince one of my siblings to go with me, but they would usually only go with me for like one day of the con. So they would my first anime week in Atlanta, I went on Friday by myself and I had a really good time. And one of the cool things about being by yourself is it sort of opens you up to talking to strangers more. And like, I remember I didn't really make friends with the people in line. I guess I could have, but I remember like waiting in line for something and just talking to the people around me. And that can be scary, but you're at a con, you know, just compliment somebody's cosplay. Tell them how cool they look. Especially, like, cosplay is such an easy way to get started talking to people, because especially if it's like a thing you really like and somebody is cosplaying from a thing you really like, and especially if you're in a situation where everybody's sitting in line, there's nothing to do, people are probably open to talking to you. Now, is it always appropriate, like, to stop somebody who's clearly in a rush and trying to get somewhere? No, not always appropriate, but there are always situations at cons where you're just kind of sitting there waiting for people, and maybe you can make friends, have a conversation with people, add them on Discord or Instagram or something, become internet friends, and then you have friends at a con in the future. It takes a long time, and it means you have to go to several cons by yourself, but it's worth doing. It's what I did. I went to things by myself or with one other person and ended up making friends. And especially if you're, you know, into making stuff and you want to do competitions, even if you don't care if you win, you know, going and doing a competition is a great, like I said, remember, sitting and waiting around is very conducive to people starting conversation. And costume contests involve a lot of sitting and waiting around, and they are a very, very good environment for being around other people that also like to make stuff in a situation where you're all just kind of sitting there with nothing to do, and you just start talking to each other. And it's also such a great, because also, you know, everybody in that room made their cosplay. And even if you know, like, even if you're a great cosplayer and you know everything about how that person made it, just go up and be like, hey, how did you make your hat? I love it. It looks so good. Even if you don't know what the cosplay is from, just, like, ask them about it. Like, that's the costume contests are such a good way to make friends, because like just all of the it's a perfect little storm of all of these people have a lot of stuff in common, and you end up with a lot of time just sitting there waiting. and you have every opportunity to ask somebody about what they're wearing. And people, here's the big secret, people love to talk about themselves. And if you just go up to people and ask them questions, they will want to be your friend. And yeah, people love to talk about themselves. And you have a perfect way of asking people to talk about themselves. Somebody says, not gonna lie, I made more friends at the Miku Expo than at the conventions I've been. Yeah, also I would say also little events. The way I ended up making all of my friends was I went to this little tiny event called Sailor Moon Day in the park. It's not even a thing they've done since, but it was run by like Anime Week in Atlanta, and it was just a little Sailor Moon event. And I went, and like that's how I ended up meeting Pins. Was I met Pins' friend Parker at that. I met my friend Melanie at that, and I ended up with lots of friends just by going to that one tiny event. The factors of being stuck around people, being bored, and having common interests, those are the 3 ingredients needed to make friends. And going to places that have that environment is a great way to make friends. And then the way to keep friends is through the internet. In a perfect world, if I was a crazy person, and I would never do this to myself, but if y'all don't know, so Melania is from Elden Ring. Elden Ring's getting DLC in this month. It's like at the end of this month, I think. Which I'm very excited for and very excited to play. But, like, I don't know. There's all this crazy pressure to, like, make sure you're doing things when the cultural zeitgeist is most centered around them so that you get the most views to capitalize off of it. But I don't know. Like, I probably watched 8 different videos about that Wonka thing. And if somebody did, like, a 5-hour, like, super duper, like, investigative analysis of the Wonka thing now, I would still watch it. Even though it's been months. But maybe that's just me. But, like, Melania is going to be done at a time, probably in a couple years, where Elden Ring has probably died off quite a bit in popularity. But I don't care, because this cosplay is going to be a story of many years of making things, and it'll be a great video, even if Elden Ring is not like a huge cultural thing at the moment. It'll be a great cosplay and a great video, no matter when it comes out. But no, part of me was like, what if I could get Melania done by Shadow of the Erd Tree? It's like, that's not happening. I chose to do it this way because I wanted to suffer for Melania. And I will suffer for Melania for as long as it takes. Thanks for watching this year-old Patreon stream re-upload. If you want to see the Patreon streams actually live or in full, then you can check out my Patreon, because you can get access for just $1 a month. And a big thank you to Mel, or Pocket Leaves, who's editing these streams down for me so I can focus on my main channel videos. You can check out Mel's work on either their channel Pocket Leaves or Pocket Cons, and sometimes you'll even see me in their con vlogs. It's a special occurrence when it happens. But as always, if you're just watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, then you're supporting this channel too. So thank you. Bye!